Hi everyone, my name is Sam Buckingham. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, I've had my Kindle Scribe for about 18 months now. I think that puts me in a really strong position to say whether or not I think it's worth you investing your money in. Now, for most people, picking up an e-ink notebook or e-reader, it will be the first device in a new category, and you're not really sure if it's just going to gather dust or if you're going to use it every day like you intend to. Well, with all that time passing since I originally picked mine up, do I still use it every day, and does my original review still hold up? Let's find out. Well, I have to say, with all this time passing, this is still really enjoyable to use. There's something really nice and tactile about pulling out a pen and writing in a digital notebook. It's a lovely halfway house between writing on pen and paper and getting digital notes on your computer. The design and build quality of the Scribe hold up really well. It's such a nice thin device, it's really lightweight when it's out of its case, the pen snaps on nice and easily, and it's really enjoyable to use. I haven't had much signs of wear and tear. The screen is in great condition, though I did manage to do a really small gouge out of it in one place. Now that is entirely on me and not reflective of the device, but it's been nice to know that it's not stopped it functioning whatsoever. I can still write over that little section and it will barely be noticeable, and the rest of the screen doesn't really show any signs of me using the pen on it so regularly. One of the things that I love about this device is the screen itself. It's nice and sharp. You've got that 300 dpi that classic Kindles have always had, so it looks really good, and it comes with the backlight that so many devices in this category don't come with. It's crisp, it's clear, it provides a really good reading and writing experience. So how much am I actually using it? Well, pretty much every day, but I'll be honest, this has become a work device. When I bought it, I thought it would be my go-to for all sorts of writing, but I found it much easier to have something dedicated to work and that I use for other things intermittently when it's really necessary. The reason for that is that I write a lot of notes for my work, and the subfolders make it really easy to navigate through this device and find exactly what I'm looking for. I can separate different meetings, different working groups, different projects, so that when I jump back in, I've got my notes from last time, and it's really simple to use. But because it's so effective as a work device, it's always in my work bag. I rarely take it out because I'm worried I won't remember to put it back in the next morning and I'll be missing it when I'm at work. That means I've been able to use it in my personal life much less often than I originally intended. I really enjoy the way that I can just navigate through all my different pieces of work and find exactly what I'm looking for. It makes me much more effective. In my original review, I talked about the reading experience, and I still think this does hold up really well, but it's something I've done much less of over the last year or so. Visually, it is the best way to view any Kindle book compared to the smaller e-readers. I really enjoy the way that you can turn it landscape, you can even have two pages next to each other like you're reading in a traditional book, and you get through much more text before you have to flick across to the next page, or you can enjoy a bigger font and just put less strain on your eyes. But it's really heavy compared to other Kindle devices. It is a nice light e-notebook, but compared to an e-reader, it's awkward. And that becomes quite a pain when you're reading for a long time. I like to read every night on my Kindle, usually for around half an hour or 40 minutes or so before I fall asleep. I've just found that it's much more enjoyable to do that on my Kindle Oasis because it's nice and lightweight, even if it is a smaller screen. Though I will say the Kindle Scribe really shines when it comes to reading PDFs or non-native Kindle books. That's really awkward on a Kindle. Suddenly all your Kindle layout options are gone, and you're usually left with one page of the book showing as one page on your device. That means if you're using a small screen, you're going to get really small text. But on a big screen like this, you get fantastic text because actually it's bigger than most books are. Now, I don't read loads of PDFs and non-Kindle books, but last year I have read a few, and I did all of them on the Scribe. And without it, it would have been much more awkward and hard to do. I'd have probably been stuck reading them on the iPad or something like that, which would be okay, but not as good as it would be on the Scribe. What I will say as a nice little win for the Kindle Scribe as an e-reader is that when you're using it as a work device, it tends to always be with you when you're working. So if I find myself on a train or stuck in between meetings with nothing to do, it is really nice to be able to pull out my Kindle and jump into the last book I was in. Otherwise, I would never remember to pack my Kindle Oasis in my bag every day. I just wouldn't get around to it. So it would give me much less opportunity to read, and that's something I'm really keen on maximising in my life. So what about drawing? When I first did my review, I talked about how excited I was to always have a sketchbook with me. Drawing is something something I really intend to get better with, but I just haven't devoted enough time. And if I'm honest, that hasn't really changed with the Kindle Scribe. I have attempted to do some, but really not many, and nothing that I would shout home about. And if I'm honest, it's not one of the most intuitive drawing experiences. You've got a few different options of drawing tools. The pencil is quite nice to draw with, and it's got quite a good range of pressure. I also love the fact that you can just slightly lean it on its side and you get a really good little shade. But it is quite basic. There are still some tools that I would love them to bring in, such as the snap to draw a straight line. I don't know why that isn't there yet. Almost every drawing device on the planet has that. It makes complete sense. Please, Amazon, get around to fixing that. And then drawing aside, I also talked about how excited I was to annotate my books. It's something I'm trying to prioritize in my free time. Whenever I'm reading, particularly something non-fiction, which I'm doing a bit of nowadays, I do try and make sure I annotate so that I can try and reinforce any messages that I'm picking up from the book. I find if you just passively read something like that, you don't take as much in. But if I'm honest, I haven't done much of that with the Kindle Scribe because, as I said, I haven't been reading that much with the Kindle Scribe. Also, when I first picked it up, I talked about nighttime writing and how excited I was to have a device that I'd be able to pull out and write something down when it popped into my brain in the middle of the night, but I didn't want to upset my sleep by jumping onto a device like my phone or switching on a lamp to write something with pen and paper. And I still do think this is a really good way of using this, particularly if you want to get down your thoughts at the end of the day before going to sleep. But because I've been using this as a work device, I haven't done much of this lately, and it's only really when I've been deep into a PDF book that I've had it out and I've had it by my bedside at night that I've remembered to do this. So how has the Kindle Scribe held up over time? Well, I've actually been really impressed. They've pushed out some really important updates that have made it much more powerful than it was when it first launched. Updates quickly came that included things like a lasso tool to help you move things around, subfolders to really well organize your files, and a multi-page view so that you could quickly jump to the right page when you've been writing some excessive amount of notes. But these updates have really slowed down recently, and I think they might have stopped. That said, it does do most of the key things that I would look for in a device like this, so I'm not really stressing that new things aren't coming anymore. The battery is still incredibly good. You can get so much usage out of this without needing to charge it, particularly if you only turn on the backlight when you really need it. If you're using it in the day, pretend it's not even there, turn it off, and your battery life will last for ages. The pen's held up well. I went for the premium pen, which has got the eraser on the back and an extra button on the side so you can use things like highlighters. I do like that. I don't think it's necessary, and maybe the cost of jumping to that is more than it's actually worth, but I'm glad I've got it and I do use all those functions. Now, the nibs do wear out relatively quickly. What I did was picked up a multi-pack from Amazon for just a few pounds, and I replaced those when it starts to get a little bit short and a little bit harder to write with. What I did find is if you wait too long before replacing that, it can get really hard to pull it out. They give you a little tool to help remove the nibs, but when they get really short, it can be challenging. Do I have any regrets for picking it up? Well, no. I'm really glad I got it, and I'm going to keep using it for a long time, and I'd even consider upgrading in the future if a newer version came out with some features I really wanted, or if a competitor released something that looked really good. That said, it is worth mentioning the competitors because the landscape has got very competitive for e-notes lately. There is loads of competition from Remarkable, Books, Supernote, loads more. I do still think this has the best value proposition out there, and for the money you pay, you get pretty much everything you need in a device like this. The other ones either come at a bit more cost or give you quite an awkward UI that's just not going to be as enjoyable as the Kindle Scribe. That said, the recent emergence of colour e-ink does have me very interested. Now, I don't think I'd need colour on my standard e-reader for nighttime reading because I tend to read novels and I don't think it would add that much to the experience, but I would really like it to be able to stick some colour down when I'm writing my notes and just make them a bit more engaging, be able to use the highlighters a bit better. That's something I'd love to see in the Kindle Scribe in the future, and things like the Remarkable Paper Pro are doing it really, really well. So would I recommend it to you if you're looking for a new device? Well, yeah, but there are a few things you have to bear in mind. What are you looking to get out of it? Are you looking for something to read your books on? I don't think this is the best option. Are you looking for something with loads of functionality? You should probably look at the competitors. But do you just want something that's going to be a really effective way of getting your thoughts down on paper and organising them in a digital ecosystem? I think this is really good option for the money. For me, what I would really like is for a new device to be released. My Kindle Oasis is getting a bit tired. It hasn't even got USB-C because it was released so long ago. I would like a new, smaller Kindle that still had the functionality of the pen. I'm sure that's easy to bring in. There are competitors that have done it, but I want to stay in the Kindle ecosystem. Even better, if they can throw a bit of colour into that, I would pick it up straight away. So come on Bezos, pull your finger out, get it done. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, a like would be appreciated and a sub to the channel would be amazing. I'd love to see you next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.